What's going on, everyone? This is TK here with another episode of Talk to TK. I know I'm a few minutes behind, but that's all right. We are still gonna get going and get everything rolling. So I hope everyone has been having a good week thus far. I know it just started yesterday, but it is the official start of September, and that means new challenges, that means new goals, that means a new way of thinking. The first of the month is typically when a lot of people will go and start their new goals. Dad, that means your workouts start today. So I hope you got a good workout in. And so we're talking about ownership. So I just held my dad accountable on Facebook Live for starting his workouts, but that's okay because I know he's going to hold himself accountable, and I know he's going to do what he needs to do a little bit at a time, not all at once. And but we're talking about ownership, and that is something that is very, very important when you go through this thing called life. That is something that you have 100% control of. You can control everything that you go through as far as how you respond. You can't control the circumstances that happen to you. You can't control who walks in and out of your life. You can't control if you get the job or you don't get the job, and all of those things, but you can influence those things, and you can take ownership for the part of the equation that you have control over, and you can take ownership of your response and how you choose to respond to the circumstances that are thrown our way. Because again, we can't control all the circumstances that come our way, but we always can choose how to respond to them. And so a little acronym that I like to remember is OAR, OAR, ownership, accountability, responsibility. Those three words are very interrelated, and they almost go hand in hand, but they each have their own individual, their extra that they bring to the situation that you just need. And so today I'm focusing solely on the ownership aspect, and this is an area where every single person can get better at ownership. I can get better at it, you can get better at it, and we will get better at it as this talk continues. And when you find yourself finding excuses for things or saying things that justify why you are not able or not willing to make changes, you are not taking ownership. And being that we want to be directors and owners of our lives, we need to change that thinking, and we need to change our mindset. So that's what we're going to do starting today, starting September 1, 2020. We had no control over this COVID situation. Nobody wanted it, nobody asked for it, but we got it. Now we're going to take control of our lives. We're going to take ownership of how we respond to this situation. Are you working out more? Are you studying harder? Are you using this new found time that you have on your hand, whether it's you don't have to sit in traffic anymore, or you're sitting at home and you're helping your kids through school, whatever it is, are you finding the time are you using this time to take ownership of things that you've wanted to accomplish and do in your life that you say you didn't have time for, or you didn't have the energy for? Are you using this time wisely? Are you growing and taking ownership of that? Because when you take ownership of your decisions, you're empowering yourself. You're giving yourself permission to move forward, to take the next step, to grow. And when you take ownership in every area of your life, which you most likely should, you are truly allowing yourself and putting yourself in position to succeed at high levels. High-performing leaders, high-performing athletes, high-performing people take ownership of their actions. They take ownership of their thoughts, their mind, their actions, their words, and there's power in that. And everybody has that power, and everyone should hold on to that power. Don't give away that power. You have the power to own how you respond and how you live your life. And that's exciting. It's exciting for me. It should be exciting for you, because you can go through life in the best way possible if you choose to. Again, it's still a choice. And ownership is something that can be taught and learned. It's never you're born with this certain level of ownership and you have it or you don't. No, you're constantly learning how to take ownership. You're constantly teaching others how to take ownership, whether it's your kids, it's an athlete, it's or somebody you mentor, it doesn't matter. And The key part about taking ownership of your life is that it involves a very, very high level of honesty. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you doing everything that you can to reach your goals? Are you doing everything that you can to get the results you want in life? It doesn't matter what those results are. It doesn't matter what your goals are. You still have to be honest with yourself and take ownership for the things that you do or don't do, and for the things that you say and don't say. Take ownership in that and make sure that you're doing things and achieving goals and growing yourself in ways that align with your values. Because when they align with your values, it's easier to take ownership. It's easier to remain accountable. It's easier to stay focused on what it is you're trying to do and where it is you're trying to go when your goals align with your values. And being honest isn't necessarily the easiest thing, but it's the most important thing. Because if you're gonna hold somebody else accountable, if you're gonna have somebody else and you're gonna point fingers at other people, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that and you didn't take ownership for this and all these things. If you're gonna do that, you have to be willing to be honest with yourself and point the finger right back at you. Because nobody's perfect. And everybody can always use a lesson in ownership and understand what it takes to be honest with yourself in every aspect. And being honest with yourself and pulling the honest card, it's not there to give you permission to beat yourself up on what you didn't do or what you didn't follow through on. That's not what the point of it is for. But you do give yourself that grace for what you did accomplish, and then it gives yourself a reminder of what you need to do next, so you can continue to remain honest and continue to own that ownership of your life, of your decisions, of your thoughts, of your choices, of your actions. You own all of that. So I'm going to run down a list of some very popular excuses that people have used, will use, continue to use. And I want you to just reply in the chat if you've used them before or if you know someone who always uses them. I'm guilty of some of these. There's no, we're not pointing fingers here because everybody has used at least one of these at some point in time. So listen to these types of excuses. I don't have time, insert whatever reason you want. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to cook dinner. I don't have time to watch a movie. Whatever you want to insert. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too windy, it's too rainy to exercise. You're allowing the weather, the circumstance of the weather, to impact whether you exercise or not. I'm too tired after work to exercise. And then someone says, well, work out in the morning. Yeah, I don't like working out in the morning because I don't like waking up early. Another excuse to get yourself out of working out. I'm too old for a career change. I'll never find a partner. This next one that I'm about to tell you, by far, my favorite excuse because it just drives me crazy. The traffic is always bad on my way to work, and that's why I'm late. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've worked with a coworker in the past who has used this exact same phrase. And so my thought is, well, why don't you just come to work earlier and then you don't sit in traffic? Well, they don't want to wake up earlier. They don't want to get here earlier. Okay, so then you're going to be stuck in traffic. Like, there's ways around this argument. There's ways to not even have to worry about the traffic. The last one that I want to leave you with is we can't have healthy dinners because my kids won't eat them and I don't like to cook. Now, the commonality in all of these that I want everyone to hear and understand is all of these excuses that I've just listed or just stated are putting blame somewhere else, on a circumstance, on the weather, on a person, on what they can't do. You're putting your blame elsewhere, and you're not taking ownership of your decision to not wake up early. You're not taking ownership of your decision to leave work at a reasonable time so you have energy to work out when you get home. You're not taking ownership of your mindset around finding a partner or having a career change. These are things that you have control over if you want the control. everybody I mean, I'm not gonna say everybody likes control. I like control, but for those of you that do like control, you have to be tired of hearing and saying these things. So we're going to go through and we are going to discuss what ways you can start to take ownership of your life. And I'm not perfect in this. I actually had a hiccup in this. I'll tell you about it in just a second here. But I see a lot of comments going in the chat, so I want to look at these and make sure that I'm not missing anything here. Let's see, let action lead emotion over letting emotion lead action. I love that. I do. I love that a lot. Hate excuses. Everybody does. One of my coaches used to say that everyone has excuses and they all stink. No matter what. Just don't make excuses. Just own your decision and work through it. And so SoCal is a whole different beast in regards to traffic. Hey, I live in Houston, so I know what traffic can be like literally all the time. Like if you don't leave your house between the hours of 10 and 2, you're going to be stuck in traffic. No matter where you go in Houston. That's the end of discussion. That's just how it works in Houston. So I totally get it. I used to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to be to work for 6 a.m. so I could avoid traffic. That's how much I hated traffic. And was I tired some mornings? Absolutely. But then I thought, oh, if I don't get up now, I'm going to be stuck in traffic. It didn't have that issue anymore. So yes, I understand that there are times where you just can't avoid traffic. But my point is, don't allow the traffic to be the excuse why you're late. You know there's going to be traffic. Leave it enough time to sit in traffic and get to work on time. That's taking ownership. You're not allowing the traffic to be your reason for being late. So that's kind of where I wanted to take that direction. Is you can't blame traffic. Not an option. No excuses. No days off. No excuses. Speaking of days off, I literally missed every single workout that I had last week. Didn't do one of them. And I have an accountability partner and she held me accountable. And I tell you right now, I will not be missing any more anytime soon. And she asked me, she was like, hey, what's up? Did you take the week off? Like, what's going on? And I literally rattled off a bunch of excuses, but ultimately my final answer, I need my weights. I don't want to do a body weight workout. I need my weights. And she replied, no, you want your weights. And then proceeded to send me a consequence workout because I told her if I skip a workout, I'll do one that she prepares. And I wasn't happy about it, but I did it. But the point that I'm trying to hone in on is I made excuses for why I couldn't work out last week. And my accountability partner basically said, no, I don't accept that. You're choosing to not work out because of some weights when you can do body weight workouts. And there's nothing wrong with those. A body weight workout is better than no workout at all. And she wasn't having it. And I had to eat my words and I had to live from it. And that was that. But I had to be honest with myself. When I heard her say, no, you want your weights, I had to be honest with myself and say, you know what? She's right. I'm allowing the lack of having my weights with me stop me from working out. And that's not acceptable. That's counterintuitive to the goals that I have. And she did what she was supposed to do as my accountability partner. And so my question for you guys, and I really want you to drop some answers in the chat. Why do we constantly allow ourselves to accept these excuses and lack of responsibilities? Like why do we think that's okay? And when has it ever been okay? When has something ever been okay to excuse yourself from when you're trying to reach certain goals and you have results that you want to get to? And when has that ever become okay? It's never been the norm. It shouldn't be it is the norm, but it should not be the norm. So when you start to accept the excuses yourself, that the type of thinking, it shifts your focus. It shifts the focus of our problems onto other people and external things, circumstances, and absolves us of any ownership. And we allow that to happen. Finger pointing is always easier than looking in the mirror, right? It's always easier to say, well, it was her fault. It was his fault. Well, it's not my fault that I got a flat tire. It's not my fault that this happened. It's easy to do that. It's not easy to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. So what we are going to do, I see some great comments. So before I move forward, I want to throw some of these on the board. Here's one. It says, because change is hard and we as people will take the easy way out. And that is a reason why we allow ourselves to accept excuses and ownership for the decisions we make. I love that. That is so true. Another thing on here is a lack of discipline. Values and principles are not in alignment. And that's 100% true. When you're doing things or have goals or anything that you're trying to achieve that don't align with your values and principles, it's hard to take ownership for your decisions. It's hard to stay focused. It's hard to keep yourself going. And yes, I agree with both of those. And here's another one that just came up. It's easier than accepting the truth. If you have an excuse, then you have a reason why. Exactly. If you're not willing to accept the truth, if you're not willing to accept your truth, it's going to make it really hard for you to take ownership in life. It's going to be really hard for you to enjoy life. It's going to be really hard for you to achieve certain goals and get to a certain level and whatever it is that you're wanting to do. All of that is going to be really, really hard. And the goal is not to make everything as challenging as possible. That's not the goal. But when you take ownership, when you decide to focus on the things that you can control, focus on your locus of control, all of these outside things get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller because you only can control so much. You can influence a lot of things, but you only can truly control so much. And that's where we're really going to hone in on here in the next few minutes. And some of the comments that were already put up there, some of the things that I wrote down is that blaming other people is easy. Blaming circumstances is easy, and we tend to take the easy way out, and that's not necessarily the best way. And so again, taking ownership is a decision. It's a daily decision, and you get power. You get power when you take ownership in your decisions. Every day you get power to take ownership of your decisions. You get power to take ownership of your thoughts, of your mindset, of your actions, of your words. You have that power. So stop giving it away. Stop giving that power to the traffic. Stop giving that power to being tired. Stop giving that power to your boss who didn't promote you. Stop giving that power to your coworker who did better at getting a sale than you did. Stop giving that power away to people and circumstances. You have the power, you have to protect it, and that's just the end of it. Just like you just have to understand that in a way that allows you to get to the results that you want, to get the degree that you want, to get the championship that you want. You have to keep the power. And so if you are ready right now, you're ready to stop giving away your power and truly make changes in your life, then continue to listen. If you don't care about any of that, then that's your decision. But what I'm about to talk about next is 6 different ways that you can stop giving your power away and own all of your decisions. First thing, notice your blaming tendencies. We've talked about this a lot throughout the show, but it's still worth noting. Notice who and what circumstances you are constantly blaming for not getting the results that you want and desire. Just think about it. I mean, you don't have to drop anything in the chat, but if you want to, by all means, share. This is an open space where I encourage sharing and I encourage the conversation. So think about all of those places where you're blaming other things and people. That is giving your power away, and that is not taking ownership of your thoughts and decisions and actions. The next thing is focusing on solutions. When you are constantly faced with adversity and you constantly blame other things and outside sources, you take away your brain power to finding the solution to the issue at hand. I have a flat tire. Oh, well, I'm blaming so and so because I let them borrow my car and they hit a pothole and didn't tell me. And then they went over a railroad track and then I got a nail in my tire and now it's Monday and that happened on Friday, but they never told me. And now I have a flat tire on my way to work. So it's their fault. In all of that rambling, did you figure out how to change the tire? Did you call AAA if you don't know how to change the tire? No. You have done nothing to get closer to a solution that will help get you back on the track you need to be going on. So don't allow those things to hinder your solution thinking mind, because there's a solution to everything if you look for it. But if you're too busy blaming people and pointing fingers, you're not going to come to that solution. The next thing, practice your power of choice. I just talked about it, but ownership is power. Start rephrasing things that you say on a daily basis. Start rephrasing things and say things like, instead of saying I have to, say I get to. I know that's old. I know people have heard it before, but say it. Don't say, oh, I have to go work out. Say, no, I get to work out. Because there are people who don't get to work out. There are people who can't work out. Don't say, oh, I have to wake up in the morning and go to work. There are people who don't have jobs, literally who don't have jobs. Say, I get to go to work today. That in itself changes your mentality. It changes your emotions. It changes how you feel about going to work. Emotions should never drive your actions. Your actions need to drive your emotions. When you're tired and lethargic, it's because you've been sitting around doing nothing, and your mind tells you, because I'm doing nothing, I should feel tired. But as soon as you get up and as soon as you start moving, your mind says, oh, I'm not tired. I have plenty of energy. Your actions drive your emotions. Instead of saying I have to, say I'm choosing to. I'm choosing to eat out. I'm choosing to eat healthy. I'm choosing to watch TV. I'm choosing to play with my kids. I'm choosing to walk my dog. Those I get to, I'm choosing to, those are phrases and words that empower you. And you're taking ownership of what you're choosing to do or what you get to do. Hold yourself accountable. I touched on this a little bit, but to go a little bit further in depth on this, holding yourself accountable is looking in the mirror. It's being honest with yourself. Did you truly, throughout the day, throughout the last hour, whatever it is, did you truly focus on things that align with your values and align with your goals and align with the results that you want? Did you do that? If the answer is no, how do you self-correct? If the answer is yes, how do you keep going? It's a never-ending battle. Ownership is something that you can't just do it one time and, okay, I took ownership of my decisions today. Okay, great. What about tomorrow? What about the next day? What about the nth day? What about 2023? Are you still doing those things? So that's a question that you definitely need to ask yourself every single day, every time you make a decision. Another big one that is, it can be challenging, but that's okay. Try discomfort. Basically, when you are consistently blaming external forces for your circumstances, that means you're never living outside of your comfort zone. And what that in turn means is you're never facing adversity. You're never facing a situation that you've never dealt with before. You're never experiencing new things. You're never growing in a new way. And because you don't do those things, when they happen in real life, because they will, you don't know how to respond. And then you give away your power. And then you start blaming people. And then you start blaming the other circumstances. So the more you live outside of your comfort zone and the more you stretch yourself and introduce yourself to different adversities and things of that nature, the better you are to handle and deal with adversity when life hits you in the face, because life is going to hit everyone in the face. No one is perfect. No one has lived the perfect life. No one will live, well, Jesus, but no one will live the perfect life. And So we have to understand and know how to deal with living outside of our comfort zone, not just in our learning, but in adversity. Now, I'm not saying go put yourself in danger so you know how to, get out of dangerous situations. But if you know that traffic is something that prevents you from getting to places on time, living outside of your comfort zone for that person may be leaving 15 minutes earlier. That could be a stretch for some people. Living outside of your comfort zone, sticking with that same example, could be taking a different route. That's for me, taking a different route is hard. I'm a creature of habit, and I'm like, well, it could be a 6-car pileup or not. I'm still taking the same route. And that's a fault of mine, but I've gotten better at it. But the last time I did it, I got a ticket because I didn't know the area. So that's a different story. The point is, you have to live outside of your comfort zone in order to understand how to take ownership of your actions as things arise. And the last thing that I want to leave you with is truly monitor what information you take in, from the social media to news media to TV shows to music. Those subliminal messages are sinking into the subconscious mind that you have. And they may not always be the most positive thing, and they may not always be the most helpful thing. So you have to really limit any type of external information that you're intaking that doesn't align with your values, so as not to derail you. Don't allow a song to get you that angry. Like sometimes I've listened to songs, I'm guilty. I've listened to songs and then I like felt the pain of the artist, and now I'm just like a little bit on edge. I probably shouldn't listen to that song going to work. That's probably not the best attitude to go in there with, but I still have the power, and I still can take ownership of detoxing myself and saying, okay, that's not me. That's just a song. I have the power to change my attitude, to change my mindset, to change my thought before I walk into that building for work. That's me taking ownership of my attitude. And so that's kind of how that works. And so you want to be really mindful of what information you're taking in. You want to be really mindful about what you're spending a lot of your time doing, especially if it doesn't align with your values and your goals. I see some comments flowing through here, so I'm going to take a little pause and check some of them out. Let's see. How do you self-correct? So when you say self-correct, are you talking about self-correct your ownership, or self-correct what? Because if it's self-correct taking ownership, the 6 things that I just listed will really put you on the path to taking more ownership. So if you stop blaming people and the circumstances, if you focus on finding the solutions, if you focus on the power of choice in your words, saying, instead of saying I have to, you say I get to, or I'm choosing to. Those things will help you self-correct in your lack of ownership. Let's see, here's a good quote. It's about stacking days and allowing yourself stumbles. Not every day is going to be perfect, but it's setting those tangible goals so you can see the beginning and know you're making strides forward. Exactly. We all know that every single day is not going to be perfect. And we all know that circumstances will arise. How do you respond? How do you keep your mind focused on the right things? How do you look for solutions where there may not seem to be an obvious solution? How do you work through that? Let's see. Turn on some gospel. Hey, I have done that. I got to a point, honestly, where when I was driving to work, it takes me about 40 minutes or so to get to work. And I got to the point where I decided that I was going to use that time in the car to listen to sermons, because I knew I wanted to get better at taking in some of the word every single day and more than just reading my Bible. So I started actually listening to sermons on my drive to work because I knew it'd be uninterrupted. I knew I didn't have to answer any calls. I knew I didn't need to be thinking about anything So I use that time to reflect and focus on me. Some people will listen to meditative things. Some people will listen to positive affirmations. But using that built-in quiet time that you have throughout your day is so empowering, and it's so helpful. Let's see. I saw another question on here that I wanted to answer. How do you push others outside of your comfort zone? So when it comes to helping other people get outside of their comfort zone, my perspective is you have to understand what are their goals and where are they trying to go to know how to push them outside of their comfort zone. So if I have a football player who has zero interest in playing baseball, and I say, hey, I'm going to push you outside of your comfort zone. Let's go to batting practice. It's not going to be really the best way to push them in outside of their comfort zone that aligns with their goals. I mean, I guess technically, yes, that is pushing them outside of their comfort zone, but does it align with their goals would be the next step. Is it going to put them in position to get to the results of playing in the NFL? No, I personally don't think so, but there are other ways that you can push an athlete that wants to go play in the NFL outside of their comfort zone. Maybe you get them to take a yoga class. That would be pushing a football player outside of their comfort zone. Most football players don't want to do yoga, but the more they do yoga, the more flexibility they will have, which can help them on the football field. So really understanding what their goals are and where they're trying to go can give you ideas of how to push someone outside of their comfort zone. Maybe you give them, if it's a work partner, maybe you give them a project that may be just a little bit over their knowledge level, but it'll get them to think. It'll get them to really have to focus in on how to come up with a solution to the problem. So, I mean, that's really how I go about helping people get outside of their comfort zone. And then once I feel like they've mastered that and they got that down, then I push them a little bit further and push them a little bit further. And I have people who do the same for me. And they push me a little bit further and they push me a little bit further until eventually my comfort zone has expanded from here to here. And then it's expanded from here to here. And so it just keeps growing and it just keeps growing and keep going. So all great questions, all great comments. I really appreciate all the chatter back and forth. This is great. This is awesome. So please keep it up. Thank you so much. And the last thing that I really want to leave everybody with is something that I heard and learned in a book that I read called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. He's a Navy SEAL. He's Navy SEALs, and he wrote a book, like I said, called Extreme Ownership. And he has a podcast. And in one of his podcasts, he was talking about the word good. And he pretty much was a leader in that he didn't like excuses. He was just like, get the job done. That's that. And so whenever one of his sergeants would come in whenever one of his soldiers would come in and talk to him and be like, hey, X, Y, and Z happened and it caused us to have to backtrack on our mission and this, that, and the other, he would just say, good. Hey, Jocko, I happen to miss this mark on the map that I made and it caused us to derail the mission for whatever reason. Good. To put it into some terms now, hey, I woke up later than normal and I got stuck in traffic. Good. No matter what good thing, no matter what bad things, no matter what adversity hits, his response is always good. Because what does that mean? It's an opportunity to get better. It's an opportunity to have another strategy. It's an opportunity to grow and think of a different solution to get around adversity that hits. It's an opportunity to remind you of what your goals are and why getting up on time is important. Oh, I got stuck in traffic because I woke up 15 minutes late. Good. Almost like good. You deserve to get stuck in traffic because you woke up later than you were supposed to, and now you have to suffer with that. The other way of looking at that is, oh man, I woke up 15 minutes late. I got stuck in traffic. Good. In the time that you're stuck in traffic, were you being productive? What were you doing? What ways can you grow yourself in that aspect? The weather is bad and I can't do my outside workout. Good. Do an inside workout. You probably needed to switch it up anyways and do an inside workout. Oh, my internet went down. I couldn't do a workout. Good. Go run outside. There's always another solution. There's always another way of getting your goals accomplished. If you just say good, good. No matter what it is, good. Now you're thinking of a solution. Now you're not allowing that circumstance to hold you back. Now you're not allowing yourself to have that woe is me. You still have control over what happens next. So no matter what happens, good. That's just what it is. Good. And allow that to propel you to think of new solutions. Another thing that I've heard a lot of people say is compared to what? Oh man, this workout is hard. Compared to what? Oh man, I didn't study as hard as I should have for that test. Good. What does that mean? Compared to what? What does that mean? So those are two phrases that you can use that will put you in a mindset. They put me in a mindset of coming up with a solution. So that's all I have for you guys on ownership. The conversation in the chat was awesome. I hope you guys are continuing to learn and grow and use some of these things in your everyday life. I know as I continue to learn more, I'm using them. As I continue to share more and open up more, it's impactful. It's impactful for me, and I hope it's impactful for you. So again, as always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I appreciate all the comments and the feedback. Please continue to share. Please go out and follow my page on Facebook and on Instagram. And if you have any questions, if you want to continue the conversation, my email, my contact information is right there for you. Please reach out. And I am more than willing to work with you and help you through just about anything that you want to talk about. So thank you, everyone, for your time. And I will see you guys next week.